The Phoenix Suns just became NBA Finals pretty much favorites at this point, kind of just completely overnight. And I mean, unless you've been living under a rock, you probably know this is referring to the Kevin Durant trade. And it was an absolute blockbuster of a trade that happened fairly late at night as well. I think the day before the trade deadline, and the Suns somehow pulled it off without trading either Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton, or Devin Booker. So now they have a big four of them three plus Kevin Durant. So things are going to look very, very scary very, very quickly, and I'm getting into how I'm going to break down the package, how I think both teams may have benefited from it, and I'm even going into how they can still look to get even better and even shore up some of their few weaknesses that this roster still has. So the first thing I really want to get into is going to be the trade package itself, and that trade package consisted of the Phoenix Suns getting Kevin Durant and TJ Warren from the Brooklyn Nets, and while Brooklyn would be receiving Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, Jay Crowder, 4 first-round picks, all unprotected, and a 2028 right to swap the picks. So they got about 5 first-round picks in there, 4 if you don't want to count the pick swap, and 3 very, very solid players. But if you really look at the player-wise in the trade, obviously the Phoenix Suns won it from just a player's perspective and a right-now perspective. One, because obviously they got Kevin Durant, who's a top 5 player in the entire NBA, and if you look at the best player Brooklyn got in Mikal Bridges, Kevin Durant obviously clears Mikal Bridges despite him being very, very good. And then TJ Warren also is a very good player and one of the more underrated role players in the NBA and can score when he has to, and he is debatably on the same level, if not a little bit better, than Cam Johnson, especially this year. So they could have gotten maybe the 2 best players out of this trade on their team now. And then, yes, they traded Jay Crowder, but Jay Crowder has not played a minute for the Phoenix Suns this year. So I think you could definitely argue that the Phoenix Suns blew the Brooklyn Nets out when it came to a player perspective. But anytime you're getting Kevin Durant, that's going to be the case, obviously. But then also Brooklyn was able to get 4 unprotected first round picks, and that is going to be absolutely huge because this is pretty much the opposite of like the Paul Pierce Kevin Garnett trade that they made where they traded all their picks. Now they're on the receiving end of that, and it should be able to be very beneficial for them going forward into the future, because I do think the Phoenix Suns future is very, very bleak probably in like the next 3 years if they don't win the NBA Finals. And the reason I say that is because, yes, obviously a big four of Chris Paul, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and DeAndre Ayton should be basically unstoppable when healthy. I mean, they're an injury away from this not working out and them having the same team as they just had, but with a very much worse bench and worse role players. So I think for sure they have to stay healthy, at least for the playoffs, if they want to win the finals. But if they can stay healthy, I cannot see a team beating them in the finals, even with how poor their bench currently is due to all the players they had to trade away. But I do think that if they stay healthy, they are 100% the finals favorites. But if Kevin Durant gets injured, or Chris Paul gets injured, or Devin Booker like last year gets injured, that could be a ginormous problem for the Phoenix Suns going forward. As even before this trade, they had almost no money to pay any of their role players next year. Like, this was the year they had to win the finals. And now you add Kevin Durant, another massive contract. That's even less money you have now to pay role players. So they're going to be getting less and less money to fill out their roster, which is a problem because they have almost no bench at this point, at least no quality depth at this point, besides like TJ Warren and Cameron Payne. And if they don't win this year, it's going to be very hard to find role players if they want to keep this big four around, assuming they don't try to trade Chris Paul in the offseason or something. And I couldn't believe they would do that if they won the finals this year. So although they might get a few rings out of it, their future could be very, very bad going forward. They have no picks. Their money-wise is all tied up in a few players, and there's no way to add bench in free agency. So it's going to be very, very tough if they don't somehow get a ring out of this kind of huge risk they're taking. But I think it's a risk that any team in the NBA would take, so I'm not bashing them in any way. Don't think I'm doing that. But even with this lack of money and like them just making this huge trade and the trade deadline already passing, they still have room for improvement, as the buyout market is looking very, very nice right now. As they have guys like Dwayne Dedmon, Serge Ibaka, Reggie Jackson, Patrick Beverley, Russell Westbrook, and they have a ton of other players as well in the buyout market that they can definitely go after, because a lot of these vets will sign very small contracts in order to win a ring for a year, and I think a lot of them will be doing that. Now, Reggie Jackson is rumored to be going to the Denver Nuggets, but it would not surprise me if they get like a Patrick Beverley, a Serge Ibaka, or Dwayne Dedmon to help them out just a little bit off the depth. And I think for sure that would go a very long way of making this team better. I think someone like Serge Ibaka or Dedmon would be a huge get for them because they already have Cameron Payne, they already have TJ Warren. They just kind of need a really good big off their bench. And although Ibaka is not very good anymore, he is still a good guy that can rebound, rim protect, and be a leader because he is a vet that has won at the highest level. So I think for sure that getting one of those veteran players in the buyout market could go a very long way to making this team even better than it already is, which is a very scary thought. And then even giving Brooklyn a little bit of love, Brooklyn is not a bad team in my opinion. Like, they have tons of picks from both the Kyrie and Kevin Durant trades. They have tons of picks, tons of great role players on their team now, and they still have Ben Simmons on their roster. So they have a path of being very good. Like, from top to bottom, there's nothing but high-level role players on that Brooklyn Nets team. They can make a ton of trades, they can get a ton of picks, they can make a ton of draft picks. Like, they have a very bright future in my opinion. So they're kind of the anti-Suns right now. The Brooklyn Nets have a very bright future in my opinion, but probably aren't going to be winning much now. Although I think they still can make the playoffs with their current team. I just don't think they can win anything significant because they don't have any stars on that roster. It's literally nothing but role players. While the Phoenix Suns have no role players, ton of stars, I think they can win the finals how they are right now, and they probably should win the finals if they stay healthy. They just, I don't think, have any future either. So they're kind of like a yin and yang right now due to all the trades that they made. But I think both teams probably got what they wanted out of the trades and the deals that they did make. And I think the Phoenix Suns, like I said earlier, are definitely the finals favorites at this point when they are fully healthy. But that's going to be it for this video, so comment below. Do you agree with me? Do you think Phoenix became a contender overnight? Who do you think won the trade? I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. If you like the video, hit the like button and subscribe button. It would mean the absolute word to me, and I hope you have a blessed day. Because I had a blessed day, so you need to have a blessed day. All glory to God. See you in the next video. Goodbye. Boo. Blah, blah.